Summoning all the energy, man. All right, let's do it. My guest today is Ever Rising Sun. He's a musician, actor, father, and has lost over 75 pounds, 35 kgs, and most recently completed walking the Te Araroa Track. Did I say that right? I'm pretty sure I did. Te Araroa Track. Over 3,000 kilometres from Cape Reinga at the top of the North Island of New Zealand to Bluff at the bottom of the South Island. Ever Rising Sun, or Ratu, as I call you, welcome to 100 Pounds to Freedom.
Kia ora, Kev.
Kia ora, my mate.
Yeah, okay, my brother.
Lovely to see you, mate. Before we get started on this, how do you pronounce your name in Māori? Because I know it translates to Ever Rising Sun, but how do you pronounce it?
My full name is Te Araroa Trail. So it means the ever rising sun, but people just call me Ratu for short.
Yeah, nice. Beautiful. I love it. Mate, you've lost a stack of weight. And
Yes, I have.
you have, and I had the pleasure of knowing you, let's call it in a past life, years ago when I was a DJ, and you still are a musician, but you were a musician, and we had met briefly at a gig I was DJing on stage. There's actually a photo of that. I'll just see if I can track a photo and put that photo up here for the people watching on YouTube. I loved the photo, and then many years later we met. As I was directing a shoot and you were acting, and it was like, man, this dude looks familiar, and trying to place it, and we sort of put two and two together and then worked it out, and being friends and colleagues, done a lot of work together ever since. But tell me, when I first met you, you were heavy, you were fat. I was fat too, so I got no problem calling you that. We were both big boys. When did you pack it on? Like, was it as a kid, a teenager, a young adult?
As an adult, bro, as an adult. And I think, life goes on and you don't really realize how life has put you in a situation. Sometimes I guess I'm just talking about myself. You just, for me, it was just going on day by day. And when you get into a comfort lifestyle of just being um, happy, I guess, but happy in the wrong sense of the word and putting too comfortable in yourself. So I was just eating more and I wasn't exercising. I was just doing things and just eating more without burning those calories. And you don't really realize it, brother, until those years go by, and then you try and put those jeans on, and then you're struggling to put those jeans on. Yeah, you're struggling to get that belt around your waist, and then you start to realize, holy shit, mate, I've put on weight. You know, and I guess for me too was you go through moments of your life. Where I was going through relationship issues, stress issues, problem issues, work issues, family issues, and stress come on. And for me, food was like a go-to to ease my sort of stress, to say. And I guess over the years, things pile on. But I didn't really realize how much it had affected myself, not only physically but mentally and spiritually. And I guess if it is affecting me spiritually and mentally, it'll show on the outside.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened, man. It just piled on. So I think I was talking to you about this a little bit earlier, that it takes some kind of a traumatic moment in your life for you to actually take action into taking over your life and taking over who you are as a person and making that positive change, because nothing can happen unless you make that positive change. Yeah.
So kind of like hitting a rock bottom, and it's just like, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
line in the sand. I think we're similar in that way. Food calmed my stress.
Yeah.
And then you create this habit loop where it's like, I'm getting stressed. Okay, I'm going to eat, because that gives you that short-term fix, that high, that
Yeah.
comfort. speaking about the comfort, so the extra weight, it comforted you in some way, and food, it can become like a coping mechanism for emotional pain, stress, even loneliness, boredom, sadness.
Yeah,
Or if we've experienced some kind of trauma or abuse, gaining weight can feel like creating like a buffer, like a literal layer of protection, becomes like
yeah,
an unconscious way to feel safe or less visible. Do you think on some level that you tried to feed that emotional hunger with physical food to compensate for like a lack in love or connection or purpose or something to like to fill a void?
definitely, man, definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head when it comes to stress and depression. Um, looking for food as a way of comfort. And also too, what also played a role to me was the fact of having food to get so quickly, convenient food. Um, and the world is, you know, the world can say for itself, and you just need to go down the shop and you can pick yourself up a nice massive meal and you just drive through. You don't even have to get out of your car now. And now with Uber Eats, you don't even have to leave your home. I think convenience is just making things so much harder for people who are trying to lose weight, but have still not cracked that mental strength to say, no, I don't really need that. Um, I've found now within myself to always check myself whenever I go past a restaurant or go past McDonald's or the KFC or go past a cafe and I see a beautiful chocolate cake or something like that. And before my eyes were the hungry beacon, and I'd go by the eyes, I'd get hungry eyes. But now it's my mind saying to me and listening to my stomach, do I really need that food? Do I really need that? Yeah, I'm going past McDonald's. Do I really need to go into the drive-through?
Mm.
And so for me, it was a positive turn in checking myself. Now that I've dropped the weight, um, I know for me, I don't ever want to go back to where I was.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more better mentally, spiritually, physically, and I guess I've seen the past me and I've felt the past me and I've lived the past me. And it's like, man, that's an episode or chapter of my life. There was a chapter, but now I'm living a better chapter of my life. And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good way to do that, man, to always check yourself.
So you acknowledge that, hey, that was a phase, it was a part of my journey, but now
Yeah.
it's a new time. I know what you mean about the convenience, and that's such a good subject to bring up. I remember
Mhm.
there was a phase. I can't remember whether I made it 1 month or 2 months. I think I did it initially for a month, but I banned myself from Macca's. I wasn't allowed to go through the drive-through because I knew it was like a crutch, man. And like, if you're feeling heavy, you're feeling emotionally heavy as well. You're
Yeah.
feeling overweight and you don't actually want to go inside. So that drive through, like you said, it's convenient, man. You just need to show your face at the window. You don't need to get out, waddling. You
Exactly.
know. And now, like you said, with Uber Eats or Deliver Easy, it's just like you just need to meet them at the door. It's almost like a tinny house, right? Okay,
Exactly.
please deliver
Exactly.
easy. Give me my tinny of food. There's nothing there like gee, the shame of walking in. So I banned myself, and I remember the kids saying several times, "Oh, we'll go to McDonald's, whatever." I said, "Listen, I can't go. I'm not allowed on the property." What happened, Dad? Oh, no, I said I'm not allowed because I know my weakness. You know what I mean? And then after that, I remember going through the drive-through with them multiple times. Yeah, you like to grab an ice cream, or they might say, "Dad, I want to, can I go down? I've got money, but whatever." But I wasn't allowed to order anything unless it was like a black coffee or something. So placing those placing those disciplines on myself. But you're not easy when you're hungry, mate, and especially if you're going through it a bit and you got a bit of stress, and hey, that short term relief brings you a smile, but it's
That's
so
right.
it's so temporary, man. It's so temporary.
I know, I know. So, how are you today, man, about that? For me, it's like I really got no issues going into McDonald's now, only because I know for me that I don't have to get massive meals anymore.
Yeah,
So for me now, I understand my body and what my body needs in terms of calories in, calories out. Yeah. So I know that, hey, I can go and eat, say, a Big Mac or a double Big Mac. Yeah. But I won't get the fries. And that's it. That's my sort of compromise within myself
mm,
because I know that if I go and get that meal, I know that that's my meal. You know what I mean? So I don't class it as a snack. That's my meal. So I class it as my meal. So it's not an extra meal that you pile on throughout the day.
yeah.
Um, and I also know that, hey, I've got an exercise regime that I need to do. And I don't do it because I've eaten that Big Mac, or I've had that KFC pack, or whatever. I'm eating. I'm exercising because it's given me a better lifestyle. It's given me better health habits. It's given me an overall better well-being.
It's just become part of your life now.
Yeah, yeah, man. So even just going for a walk, um, people don't realize, man, just how effective a good walk can be. And it is the best exercise that you could possibly do is just go for a walk.
Especially this morning. I actually think it's like medicine. I was in the bush this morning, just 45 minutes, return,
Nice.
And, and mate,
Did you go to Pariaka, bro?
I did go to Parihaka. I didn't go up the mountain. I went along the riverside track to the end
Mm.
Whare Ora and come back. For those people who don't know where that is, don't worry about it. It's in the bush. Okay, we live in the same town. It was healing, man. I don't know about other people, but man, I'm a hugger. I'm also a leaf toucher, dude. I will touch the trees as I'm walking, and I
Yeah,
just
man.
try and feel that life force.
Yeah, man.
There's something in it, man. Especially if it's rained, like the petrichor, something like that. When the bush, when it's rained in the bush, it's
Yeah.
amazing, mate. Let's track back a minute to the weight gain. So you put it on. You put it on as an adult. Sometimes well, even as kids, but as adults, we sort of have self-esteem issues. Like,
Mm.
was it, in some level, did you believe, like, in some area, and whether that's through your own standard or to other family members, friends, or a partner, did you believe on some level you weren't good enough, or always messing things up, didn't deserve in some way to be happy? So, and therefore, on a subconscious level, you sabotaged yourself with food. Like, did that play a role, do you think, in gaining weight? You were trying to compensate in some area there?
I don't know, bro, to be honest. I think for me, as a as a young adult, dealing with relationships, um, and dealing with the stresses of relationships, to deal with going around with everyday life, and trying to cope with things, uh, got to me to the point where I found food as my go-to to say, hey, at least I've got something that doesn't judge me, food, and I can eat this food and make me feel good. Now, this was the mentality that I had. But even though I was eating this food, it made me feel better, but it was sort of like a short lived thing. Yeah. Because it's sort of like how people look at it like an addiction, yeah? So people may have a cigarette to ease their stress, to make them feel good, to make them overcome whatever drama that's going through their day. And then the next thing they know, they're having another cigarette. And it's like that with food. The next thing you know, you're having another pie. So one pie ends up becoming two pies. And two pies end up becoming three pies. And if you do that on a daily basis, it becomes 2 to 3 pies, and you're still going home to have dinner. You're still going home to have breakfast. You're still having a snack before you go to bed. So yeah, it was like that for me, man. Like yeah, it was a go to thing for me. But yeah, the daily stresses of life and relationships and trying to deal with I guess everyday living, paying bills, meeting my financial needs, of all those things that life dishes out to you. You can only do so much if you're not accustomed to that sort of stress as a young adult. I mean, let's face it, man. We come into this world as individuals, and then we meet someone, and then it's all great, but then we don't realize that we are actually combining people's lives together, our thoughts, our habits, our wants and needs, and to have two individuals that come together, all of a sudden, it's not like a dating thing anymore. It's a 24/7 thing, yeah. And people just want to lash out when they feel their needs not being met, or that they want to lash out if they're not having a good day. And it always seems to be like your other half that gets the brunt of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
for me, and it was how I did that with my relationships. It made me realize later down in life to really check myself as a person, to check myself who I am. Um, so yeah, relationships can play a big role, man, in your habits, especially with eating and overeating.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. What
Yeah.
about what about alcohol? Because I know for me, I didn't feel like I had a major problem. I felt
Mm,
I was a little bit of a weekend warrior, where especially when I was younger, and definitely made some not too good choices on the picks.
mm,
But more recently, and I'm talking in the last few years, I think it's been the number one thing that prevented me from staying on track with nutrition and exercise. Do you think the alcohol added to you gaining weight, or preventing you from losing it?
not so much the alcohol, but definitely the weed.
Yeah.
I used to consume a lot of weed when I was young. And you know what happens when you get some of that weed, man? The munchies come along, and then this is like, 20, 30 years ago when you wish that Uber Eats was around, because they would have just been full on by them. But, you
They wouldn't know in your address.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
right. But yeah. But, and again, like I was saying, addictions, man. Um, it was the same too with stress, for me, I'd go to the weed if I'm stressed out, man.
yeah.
I feel great, but it's like a crutch, yeah. And then I feel great, but I also get the munchies. And get the munchies, so you go straight to the fridge. If there's nothing in the fridge, you go straight to the shops, man. So it's a never-ending cycle.
That would happen to me, dude, too. Like,
Yeah.
when I was younger, I smoked a lot of weed, man, and as a teenager, young adult, and
Yeah.
it'd be really cool, and then 20 minutes afterwards, boom, munchies, and then it's just like, you know, and the cycle would repeat. Yeah, it can. Yeah, it can definitely.
Addictions, man. Addictions are
Yeah,
what? exactly what the word says, man. It can be great for you at the time, but you don't really realize it on how much it can affect your body, and it just compounds, yeah.
Yeah.
And it just compounds, and you don't really realize it until the years go by, and you look at that mirror, and you're, man, this is not good,
Yeah.
Uh, like I remember like at my heaviest, man. I was 114, man, 114 kilos. And, you know, man, my fitness was terrible. My
Yeah. And for
fitness.
and for context now, you're down to 78 like today, like now.
Yeah, like I'm 78 now, and I I was probably around about 76 when I finished the Te Araroa, when I finished the Te Araroa.
Yeah.
Um, but then I came back home, and now I'm in like a. It's funny, bro. It's funny, man, because after you've been walking, bro, like 3,000 kilometers, you're just always on the go, and like you're saying about connecting with Mother Nature, that's what I did. And I fell back in love with Mother Nature. And now being back home, man, it's like, wow, it's put me into perspective again into who I am and what I want in my life. And now that I'm back home, my level of expenditure and output, like in exercise and calorie burning, has not been the same. For the last 6 months, man, I've been burning like, I don't know, 3,500, 4,000 calories a day, so you're constantly on the move. And now that I haven't been constantly on the move, it sort of put things into perspective for me, man. So,
I want to dive right into that because there potentially could be a number of listeners that have thought about doing that, or maybe they've even done part of that trick themselves. Some
yeah,
people do it in bite-sized chunks. Just
yeah,
before we dive into that, I want to know what what the moment of truth was. Like, what was the catalyst? Like the line in the sand when you said, "Man, enough is enough." Like, was it a conscious decision? Like, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to drop this fat. I'm going to be the best I can be. What was the moment that did that for you?
uh, yeah. Well, it was a bit of a traumatic event for me, man, and it was a point in my life where I actually, uh, I had time on myself to think, what the hell am I doing? You have something in your head that says, mate, what are you doing? I got down to the point where I started to really think in myself, who the hell am I? When I'm not happy, I got all this weight, I'm feeling depressed, I'm not achieving my goals, I'm wondering where the last 20 years of my life is gone. And all these factors, man, just came into my head. And yeah, this voice came into my head, man, just telling me, what the hell are you doing, mate? What are you doing here? What are you? Look in the mirror, man. What are you doing? This isn't your life. This ain't what you want to do. I thought you're going to chase your goals, man. I thought you're going to do this and do that, man. Why aren't you doing it? You know? And so was that time in my life where I said, man, I need to make changes. So I had to make changes in my life and also in my relationships. And I think at that time, bro, you had a job, and I think you called me in, man. And then I came in, and I think that was the first time that you saw me for a while. And I think that was I think what we were doing. Oh, mate, I think what we were doing was, remember we did the skit at Pack and Save.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I did the skit and Pack and Save, and I remember that we were using one of the guys who had his little business across the road from the Countdown, by the roundabout there, um, like a little op shop, antique shop or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we met there, bro. And anyway, I remember I jumped in your van, and I told you what's going on in my life, that I'm making a big change. And I remember you telling me, he goes, well, bro, to be honest, bro, mate, you look totally different, man. And that's because I lost quite a lot of kilos then. And yeah, the things change when you start making a positive a positive change in your life. When you make big steps in your life,
Yeah.
things change. I mean, it changed for me mentally and spiritually. And I knew that digging more into where I want to go, really helped me focus on my health and well-being. And I think at that time, when I told you, mate, I've been doing this and that, I've been hitting the gym, I've been going for runs and stuff like that, but I'm still eating like a horse, man. But I'm just eating clever, I'm just eating wisely, but I'm still consuming a lot, man, because I'm calories in, calories out, so your body demands food. If you're burning a lot of calories, you got to feed your body, yeah. So yeah, there was a time, man, when things really made a change. I think that must have been about what, 2, 3 years now, bro.
Yeah, yeah, maybe even slightly longer. Yeah, it's interesting, with growth when you reach that stage within yourself and you
Yeah,
start you start almost hanging out, like longing for change, like you realize, what have I done the last, like you said, 20 years of my life or what have you.
that's
And
right.
I know for me when I was about to turn 50, that's when I woke up. It was like, dude, what are you going to do? What are you going to freaking do? You need
Yeah,
to take some action on this. And I've tried everything under the sun, man. And when I started with my mind, that's when things started shifting. And
right.
those, some people in your life, and whether it's family members, friends, or a partner, like if you're growing and you're changing, you're evolving, and they're not, it can make it incredibly challenging, man, because they still
Right.
can see you and view you and talk to you as the person you were. And that's not who you are now. You've already evolved in your brain and your mind, your habits. And, it can have negative consequences. On the flip side, they can also be your support and your rock and,
Definitely, man.
help change. Man, let's just before we get into the track, because man, I want to talk about this track you did, man. Unreal. Just before we get into that, you talked about calories in, calories out, uh, and you said you started eating smarter. So what I'm guessing is maybe less takeaways and more lean, just healthy food. So more whole food, meats, veggies, as opposed to, hey, I'm just going to grab a bloody Big Mac combo and all the rest of it. Am I right in
Yeah,
thinking that?
yeah. But this is my take on diet and food consumption. This is my take. Okay. Um, there's all these kinds of diets that are out there. You've got the Atkinson's diet. You got the keto diet. You got all these diets that are going around. Yeah. And they work, but as soon as you go off the diet, you put the weight back on. For me, it was about knowing what works well. Yeah. And when I say calories in, calories out, you can definitely eat McDonald's all day, every day. Yeah. If say a Big Mac is say 800 calories, and you have three of those, right? 2,400 calories. Yeah. That means you have to burn more than 2,400 calories every day. All right. But what people don't also realize is that You can have absolutely nothing, and your body burns calories just to live, just to survive. Your body burns calories around about 1,200, 1,500 calories. It burns, right, non-stop, because it's a never-ending engine. From the day you were born, your engine started until the day you die. Your engine will stop. So it's constantly consuming consuming energy, and it needs food to keep that energy burning, right? So when you're born as a baby, you start suckling on mama because mama's got all the nutrients and it's feeding your body as you grow up to a little toddler. Then you start eating solids because your body's growing, and then you'll start eating more as your body grows because your body just needs that, right? Just on a daily basis. When you start consuming more food, and you see that today, which is quite sad, and a lot of the younger generations, who you can see when they're just young teenagers and they're quite obese, right? They're just consuming more food than that they need to get from A to B. They're just consuming more food. So for me, my take on it: calories in, calories out. Um, if you want to, for instance, if you want to lose weight, then you need to eat less calories to what you're expending throughout the day. For example, if you're just going for walks, or if you're just doing nothing, then you need to eat less than, say, 1,000 calories a day. What your body is burning on a natural daily cycle, you need to eat less than that so that your body can say, hey, I'm not getting food in my gut, so I can't quick access to food anymore. Your body will start to change, and your mind will say, okay, we're not getting as much food now, so we're gonna have to get some of this food off our body, and it'll change, and it'll start to go into your fat stores.
Yeah.
So calories in, calories out. And if you consume more calories, you're gonna have to expend more, either going for walks, getting out in the garden. You don't have to go to the gym, man. You don't have to go and push weights. You don't have to do any of that. Because I know that there's huge, massive amount of people who just don't even want to go near a gym. And that's fine. But you can go and do the lawns, man. You can go and do gardening. You can go outside and clear up your backyard. You can
Move your
go for
body.
walk.
Move your body.
It's about
Yeah.
being active, man.
Yeah.
It's about being active, yeah. If you got a fireplace, mate, go out there and go and get some wood. Go wood chopping. Do something active that'll keep your mind and your body pumping, man. And before you know it, you're sweating and you're chugging down more water. Yeah, and before you know it, your body's saying, mate, I haven't moved like this in years.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the body can react. And there's a saying that, um, what you do today will affect you tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to do tomorrow or in the future, if you want to lose weight, then your habits need to change today. You need to do that every day so that your habits today will affect you in the future. Yeah.
And
If you carry on eating, man, if you carry on feeling stressed, if you carry on being unhappy, if you carry on being stagnant in your life, that's going to be your future because you're not making a change. Yeah. So hopefully that if people can take that sort of concept and make a change, then yeah, you will see.
yeah.
You will see differences, bro.
You, yeah, exactly. If you don't use it, you lose it. And
Yeah.
I do think, like, years ago, let's, obviously a lot of times through history, but let's just call it, say, 50s, 60s. like the percentage of people that were overweight was
Yeah.
just minuscule compared to today because everyone was doing that. They were outside, they were mowing the lawns, they were gardening. There
Yeah.
was like way less processed food. So yeah, it is those different
Dude,
habits. Unfortunately,
if you really look at it, man, if we look back, like let's go way back, right? Let's go way back to our ancestors, man. None of our ancestors were ever overweight
yeah.
because we were hunter and gatherers.
Mm,
Yeah, we were hunter and gatherers, right? And there's days when tribes didn't go with any food,
yeah.
and but there's times when there were lots of food, and so they will just eat and eat and eat and eat because they know that's it's a chance to have food while you got it.
Mm,
It's not like that these days. It's convenience food, everything's just put on your plate. You go to a supermarket. I mean, gosh, even in my grandmother's days, there were never a supermarket.
yeah.
And like, uh, on my Corduroy and my nanny who lived up north, man, their supermarket was on the land.
Yeah.
It
So
was
just
in the bush. It was in the ocean. It was, you know, it had to be earned. Things were grown, things were hunted, and
mm.
things were,
And you
you know,
expended energy to get that Kai, to get
to
that.
get that.
Yeah, you had
That's
to do some work to get it. It wasn't just, hey, it's not turning up at the door. Let's jump into this phenomenal walk you did, 3,000
mm,
kilometers. First of all, like, what gave you the idea to do it? Like, where did you think, I'm actually going to do this? Like,
dude, it was one of my goals that I set on, man. About 2 years ago, man. It's one of my goals, and actually, it was one of my goals as I was going through the process of losing weight, and I wanted to connect with Mother Nature again, right? So I wanted to go in the bush, and I wanted to go hiking, yeah. But I wanted to be smart about it, man, because I didn't want to end up on the news. The Westpac helicopter saved a Maori man today up in Northland. Apparently, he was lost in the bush, 800 meters from his house. Now, it's like, dude, I didn't want to be like that, bro. So what happened was I actually joined the Whangarei Tramping Club.
oh, really? I didn't know that.
I,
Okay.
I joined the Whangarei Tramping Club, man, and started to do hikes all around Northland, which is really, really cool. It opened my eyes, and I touched base with Mother Nature, and it felt great, man. It felt really amazing. So I was doing that, man. It was a good. It was a good type of fitness, and I will always, promote that for anybody, any of your listeners, man, who are, thinking about a way of how you can lose weight. Join a tramping club, man. Join a hiking club where you can just go with people, and you can be social, and you can go on massive walks, and you can see, man, you can see some beautiful, beautiful treks and trails. Anyway, along one of these trails, I met this man, and he told me that he hiked all of New Zealand, and he actually put the seed in my head, bro. It was him that actually put the seed in my head. He was telling me these stories, and I was like, man, I want to do that. I want to do that. And then I told him, mate, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And so whether he took that on as I was being serious or not, I don't know. I never saw him again because I've just been doing other things as life do, but it's always been on my head, man. So I prepared for it. And uh, last year, most of last year, I was hiking out. Uh, I'd just get my pack together and I'd hike out and go hike about 20 k's from where I live. Wherever I go, that was it. And then I'd set up camp, hike back the next day. So I got used to setting up camp, to being alone, to being in Mother Nature. Yeah, and I did that like every week or every 2 weeks. I would do that, and I did that to um, get myself mentally prepared, and also to prepare my legs and to prepare my feet, but mostly to prepare my mind because it's a mental thing more than anything. And so yeah, when the time came, bro, it was yeah. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did that, Kev, because the first time I got to Cape Reinga and I started to hit that beach, it was phenomenal, bro. And well, 90 Mile Beach, because there was other people who were actually doing the journey, and mate, their feet was just hammered, mate. The blisters,
Oh, I can
aches
imagine.
and pains. Their knees were gone. Their legs were gone. When things go, man, your mentality, your mental strength declines, and when your mental strength declines, your body goes along with it. So I'm glad that I did it, bro. So yeah, that's what made me start, bro. That's what made me start.
Yeah.
I
How
was meeting that
cool.
like
Meeting that guy.
yeah.
Do you remember his name?
I think his name was Peter. I think his
Peter.
name is Peter.
Shout out to Peter.
Yeah, shout out to
Sowing
me.
sowing seeds in the
Yeah,
hearts of great men.
I did actually meet him a couple of weeks, maybe a month later. Organized the hike. It was him, myself, and two other people. We went to hike Cape Breton.
Ah,
And I don't know if you know of Cape Breton, but it's very challenging. It's a very challenging hike. It's on the upper east coast by Ratu. And yeah, so and that sort of just edged me more to wanted to do the big 3,000 kilometer journey.
yeah. Well, tell me tell me about your most challenging experience on that journey. Obviously, North Island, South Island, like the entire length of New Zealand. Tell me about your most challenging experience
Man,
because it took you like 6 months, didn't it? So you were out
yeah,
there alone a long time.
yeah, man, I was out there on my own, and the most challenging, I'd have to say, would be in the Richmond Mountains on the South Island. Um, Very challenging because of the terrain. When you go past a certain height in the mountains, you go past the tree line. When you go past the tree line, there's no more forest anymore. It's just rock, and you're just climbing up, and you're climbing up above the clouds, and you're going into the terrain that actually it's foreign to you if you're not used to being in the mountains. It's foreign to you. It's foreign to me. It's very foreign to me. There's a lot of shale, loose rock. Um, I don't know if anybody's been to like if you go to a quarry and you get road metal for your driveway or something. Uh, you're like thousands of meters up, above on this mountain, and you just see half the mountain face is all loose metal, like you're getting it from Mitre 10 or something. It's like the whole face of it, man. It's just loose metal, man. And the terrains are so very scary. There's parts where I had to go past a cliff edge when it's only about that much gap and you have to shimmy past. And I made a very close relationship with that cliff wall. I was kissing that wall so much. We had a very close relationship. The wind and the gusts were so blowing so hard because I was carrying about 30 kgs on my back.
Yeah, that's a massive amount if you're trekking.
30 kgs, man, but only because in the Richmond Mountains I had to carry 10 days worth of food on top of what I already had. Yeah. So my backpack was like my home. It was my bed, it was my wardrobe, it was my fridge. It was everything that I had. And so when you're walking with such a huge pack, it weighs down on you, man. And being on that cliff edge, I was like this, but I just couldn't, I just could not. I was looking down and there was bits of pebble on the rock ledge, so I kick it off and I see the rock just drop and disappear. And I'm going, oh my God, come on, there's a gust of wind, like it wants to blow me back. And I'm trying to kiss this rock face and I'm just saying, please, mate, just let me get through this bit. Just let me get through this bit. It was such a challenging journey going through the Richmond Mountains. But in saying that, it was such a blessing. I felt so grateful to the universe and with Mother Nature to be able to be blessed, man. To be here in our beautiful country, experiencing what not many people get to experience. You're talking about seeing places on Mother Earth that people don't get to go and do. You can't drive up there.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go up there unless you go up there yourself. You know, you can't experience it. You can see things on the internet, but seeing things on the internet is not. You don't get that experience unless you're seeing it in your own eyes.
Yeah, it's so different, right, to be there and experience yourself.
Yeah.
Remember you told me briefly about one experience you had on the trek where your tent started turning into an igloo or something like that?
Yeah, this was in the Wild Pass. So the Wild Pass is probably another 100 kilometers further down on a lot of section of mountains, and I'm just going through the Blue Lakes. And if anybody's looking for a great destination to go to, um, the Nelson Lakes, go to the Nelson Lakes and go head towards the Blue Lake. Anyway, I was going through the Nelson Lakes and I decided to divert and go up to a place called Lake Angeles. It's phenomenal, man. It is phenomenal. Another place that you can't drive up to. It's a place where it takes you hours to get up there. And as I was going up, you just see cascades of fountains and waterfalls just coming down the mountain sides, and it's just incredible, man. It's incredible. Anyway, I got there, I was hiked down, I was hiking towards the Blue Lake. Hiking toward the Blue Lake. I got to the Blue Lake and I got to the Blue Lake hut. All right. Now along the way there are huts that people stay in. I never stayed at a hut. I've stayed in the hut twice in my whole journey. Most of the time it's been in a tent. And the reason why I did that, Kev, was so that I can always stay connected with Mother Nature. For me, staying in the building, I was taking that connection away, and I felt like being part of Mother Nature more is when I'm on my own. It's when I'm out there just fending for myself. Anyway, I got to the Blue Lake hut, and I always go to the huts just so I can log in and I can just let the books know, hey, I've been here and I'm going there, just in case things happen. So there's always a paper trail. Anyway, I got there and the ranger was there, right? The dock ranger was there. And he said, oh, are you heading through the Wild Pass? And I said, yeah. Because, oh, mate, I just let you know that it's going to be a bad turn. There's going to be 130 knot winds, and the weather's going to change really bad. And I said, well, okay, thanks, mate. And he goes, well, I'd rather you do stay, but just let you know, just to be very, very careful. So, okay. So I headed on. I got to the base of the mountain, and this was like I was saying before, man, this was like a mountain face, but with very fine shale. Very fine shale. So I'm going up this mountainside. It's sort of like going up a huge sand dune. It's made out of metal. And the more you step in, you're just sliding down. Step
Mm.
up, slide down. Step up, slide down. So it took me hours to get up on this face. And I can see it was getting dark. I got to the top, and the winds were starting to get really, really fierce. So I knew, man, I got to get down. I got to get down now because I'm gonna be. It's not a good place for me to be up here because there's nowhere for me to put a tent. So I had to climb it down on the other side. That took another 2, 3 hours get down, and I got down to a point where there's a little flat area, and it started to spit. And I was like, "What? It's coming!" So luckily I found this huge rock, massive boulder, and the wind was coming one direction, and I made sure to put my tent on the other side, so I'm at least a little bit sheltered. I put my tent up. It started to rain, so I tucked in, and she came, and the winds came. The winds came, and the rain came. It came. The wind came so hard that it broke one of my tent poles, snapped it. Uh, you know those. I had a dome tent. You know those
Mm-hmm.
flex poles. It wasn't that flexy, man. It actually snapped it. My tent was actually sideways like this. It was like that, and it was pressing up against me, man. I was like, oh my god. It was so loud that it felt like I'm at the outside and like by a 747. That like that, man. It was just so loud. Like I could actually yell in my tent, and it's not making a difference. And I just had to buckle down. And the rain came, the floods came, and it was flooding so much. And I knew the next day I had to get out of there. So the next day it was still raining nonstop. I got out, and these dry riverbeds that I crossed were not dry anymore. They were like fierce rapids that I just could not get across. I got across two very small ones. The last one that I tried to get across, I couldn't get across. It was so fierce. So fierce that I put my hiking stick in the water and it kept on whacking it out. I could not get to the point where I can get some grip. And so I know, man, I can't get through. So I had to make the choice. I had to stay there. So I stayed there for 3 days. Stayed there for 3 days. Um, One night I was so cold. There was snow on the mountain, and my tent got like a igloo. It was really just ice. My tent door, I unzipped it and I opened up the flap. It was like a door, like I was like, oh my
Just
god,
solid.
it was solid, bro. It was like, oh my god, like I was so cold, and I had to get water because it's the only way I was surviving. I had a little billy and a little hot little gas stove. So by the time I got out of there and got me water, my fingers are so frozen. Like they wanted to snap off. Like I just had to get back into my tent. Like it was so cold. Oh man, it was one of those challenging moments in my life. Because I did not expect to have those extra 3 days. So I had to go without food. I had to ration my food to the point where I was just not having enough. I had like 1,500 calories that I had to split into 3 days. So I was end up having 500 calories, which was like a little like a for one meal was like a packet of noodles, uh, and I had like a little snack bar, and that was it for the whole day. You know, when you're burning calories, your body is just hungry, man. Your body's
Mm.
just starving. So to go without food, I end up becoming, what's the word, emancipated, and becoming like a little bit delirious in a way. I anyway, I was up. I heard this voice one morning, and I opened up the tent, and I thought it was like, mirage, like you're hearing something.
Wow.
And I open up because I can hear these voices, and I'm like, and I open up the tent, and it was these three hikers coming through, and I was so happy. I was so happy because if they got through, I can get through. And so that was my turning point. That was my turning point. It took me another 3 days to hike out of there and to hike out. So again, I was in no food. I was running out of, my nourishment was not good. On the last day, I was uh, just trying to make it out.
Yeah.
And I met this hiker, and and I just had no energy, man. I was just trying to shake it out. And he goes, "Hi, hiya," and I was, "Hi, mate." Anyway, we went past, and he turned around and goes, "Are you Ratu?" And I go, "What? Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, mate, you're famous, mate." I go, "What? Why's that?" He goes, "Oh, mate, everyone's looking for you, man." I goes, "Really?" "Yeah, mate. People are wondering where the hell you are." He goes, "Oh my god." Anyway, I told him what happened, and he goes, "Oh, have you had anything?" "Oh, mate, I'm really hungry." And just so thankful to this guy, William. William or Willis, whoever you are, you know who you are, man. Thank you so much, man. He gave me some of his food. What he gave me was a snack bar and a packet of like beef jerky. Yeah, oh my god, I ate that straight away, ate that snack bar, and man, you can't believe just like in a matter of seconds, man, your body just changes.
Oh, I can only
It just
imagine.
it's just, oh my
Yeah.
god, the nourishment, the energy coming into your body is like, it actually made me a bit more energetic to get out, you know.
That would have been the greatest gift, like at that
I
time.
hugged them so much, man.
Yeah.
So much.
Shout out, William, whatever your name is,
Yeah, man.
the
Yeah.
man.
Like that was so cool. That was
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah. But that's yeah, very tough moments, bro. But
Tough moments. Do you think tough moments or going through something incredibly challenging like that, like you said, the wind was that loud, it seemed like a 747 outside. Do you think that makes tough men? Meaning it will help you, it crosses over and it helps you in other areas of your life. You've been through that. So, hey,
yeah,
now I've got resilience to go through the next thing. Do you think that is true?
well, resilience is the word, man.
Yeah.
Resilience is the word. It can help anybody, man and woman. It helps. Like for if you want this to be a challenge, this is definitely a good challenge for you. Um, Te Araroa is definitely a massive challenge. Like majority, uh, majority of Kiwis do it by sections,
Yeah.
right? And they do it by section, and it's understandably because one work, people need to work. It takes a long time to do it, so you need to be committed. And a lot of people like have family and family commitments and work commitments and other things going on. So people do that in sections. I chose to go straight through because I wanted that journey. And she gave it to me, all right? It gave it to me. There were points where I was crossing estuaries were up to my chest and going up to my neck. and I had to hold my backpack over my head. And it's like, man, if it goes any deeper, I'm gonna, I'm gonna have to try and just hold my breath and get across. You know, there's lots of challenges you're going through. Sand that's like, can be hard as concrete and then as soft as mud. You're going through mud, man. You're going through mud that can be deep as your knees. Uh, you're going underneath logs, man. You're going through different terrains. Um, yeah, I've helped a couple who had slipped off a cliff because of their footing, and they were shaken. I'm so glad that I was there because there was nobody behind me, so I helped them up, and they were so shaken that I actually stayed back and just to watch them, and they like she didn't want to carry on because she was so shaken. Um, but it took another 6 hours to hike out of the forest, and this was in the Puketi forest up north. Um, yeah, so definitely some changes, bro. Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Wow. What a like I'm listening to you and I'm getting visuals while you're talking and I'm just thinking of the movie. Like so
I'll
ma-
tell you what, man. It's got
make an
everything.
amazing movie.
It's got everything for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's got
Who
all the
who would who would
songs.
play you? Who would play your character if you weren't allowed to play yourself? Who would play you?
Josh, man. Let me see, brother. Let me see. I don't. What are you talking about? Any actor, man?
Any actor in the world, pick one.
Uh, any actor, any actor. Well, I'm not gonna say like any of the Hollywood actors, bro, because that'd be too cliche. But what I would say would be cool. Kit Harrington,
Oh yeah?
Kit Harrington, bro.
Nice. There you go. You heard it here first. Okay. Reach out. I'll connect you guys. We'll turn it there. Small finder's fee. Uh, and then you can sell the rights to the movie, Chris. And that's how we do it here. So, mate, just before we wrap up, Ratu, if someone was where you were, 114 kgs,
Yeah,
they're masking, disguising, covering up emotional stress with food. They know there's someone fit, youthful, with courage inside them that wants to live life, but they're struggling to take that first step. What's your advice? Like, like if you wrapped it up to nutrition, exercise, like what's the first step they should do? Let's encourage someone out there is listening. They are stuck. They are overweight. They're fat. They don't like themselves. They know they're meant for more in this world.
yeah,
What would you tell them?
bro. You only get to live once, man. This is the key. Yeah, in this world, as soon as you're born, you are dying. The timer goes on. Click. As soon as you're born. Yeah. People don't realize it, but you can cross the road and things can happen that will change your life. But if you really want to make a change into who you are because you're overweight, then you need to really look at yourself, man. You need to analyze yourself and ask yourself, do you really want to be who you are right now? Do you really want to be where you are right now? Do you want the life that you're living now? And if you don't, then you need to ask yourself why. Why are you living the life right now? When you know you can make a change. You can make any change you like. You know, there's a saying my mum always used to say to me, always be happy, to love one another and be happy. And if you're not happy, you need to change in your life that's not making you happy. because there's things in your life that isn't making you happy. Now, being overweight is the result of what's not making you happy. Yeah. Being overweight is just the result of something. You need to change who you are. You change your mentality. So change who you are if you want to be your true self, right? Have a look in the mirror and make that change. Just going outside and going for a walk is making a change if you haven't done it before. Yeah. Just choosing to go out and clean up your place if you haven't done it, that makes a big change. Going outside and meeting people, or just heading down to the beach, going for a walk along the beach. And then you can say, wow, man, I actually did that. Something that I haven't done in years, right? Look at your diet and what you're doing. Look at what I said about, do you really need to eat that? Do you really need it? Why do you need it? Why do you need that? Why is it? You need to ask yourself the many whys. Yeah. And I know that if you do these things, man, if you do make those step forward in your life, things will happen for you. Guaranteed. Guaranteed, man. Believe in yourself. Believe in who you are, truly are, and make that step. No one else can do it, man. Just you. Only you can do that. No one else can do that. You can't ring up or go and download an app that's going to make you lose weight. You can go to all the gyms, but nobody's going to make you get on that treadmill. No one's going to make you lift up that weight, right? You can go inside a health shop or whatever, but no one's going to make you eat well. No one's going to make you eat well. You have to do it. It's a journey that not many people say they're going to do, but do. Yeah. This is the key. It's the key to all things, really. All habits, all addictions, goals in your life. Yeah. Things that you want to achieve. Things can only happen when it starts up here and then you make it push forward with here. Yeah. Start it up here and use here to make yourself push forward. That's all I can say, man. It was like that when I went on my journey, on my 3,000 kilometer walk. No one else can make me do that. I made a test because where I live is about 300 kilometers away from Cape Reinga. But I knew if I can get home, then I can say it's a test for me. Then I can say, yeah, it's been great. I enjoyed that walk. It was phenomenal. But hey, it's not for me. But then I continued. I carried on. I carried on all the way, and then I got to Auckland. And then I got to Auckland, then I got to Hamilton. Got to Hamilton, and then I got down to Palmerston North. And Palmerston North, I got down to Wellington. Wellington, I ended up all the way down to Bluff. And, things can happen if you really want it to happen. Life is hard. It's never easy. It's only easy when you choose to make things comfortable in your life. When you make things comfortable in your life starts to slip away and you don't really realize it. So do that, man. And if any of you guys are ever out there want to see more of my journey, you can come and check me out at the Māori Hiker at Instagram.
At the Māori Hiker on Instagram.
Māori Hiker.
Check out his socials. I love what you said there.
Thank you, my brother.
About if you choose a comfortable life, it's going to slip away. It's so easy to get into that routine, work, home stress, kids to bed, whatever. Okay, let's chill, watch Netflix. Maybe we go have coffee or breakfast on the weekend, and it's just boom.
Kid, it's like that thing, bro, when, the old saying, stay hungry, stay hungry. Stay hungry, right? Because if you keep filling yourself, You keep filling yourself with food. You're not hungry. Stay hungry. Stay hungry, man.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for sharing your story, part of your soul with the audience here on 100 Pounds to Freedom.
Love you lots, brother.
Much love, brother. Thank you.